How's it going, everyone? Well, would you look at that? It finally feels like, or it finally looks like, we have some transparency as to why Black Myth Wukong didn't drop on Xbox Series S and X, and it is the reason, by the looks of it, that we had all speculated on. There was a lot of talk on whether or not there was some sort of PlayStation exclusivity deal signed for the game. No, it was literally Sony handed a free console exclusive. Spotted on r/gaming leaks and rumors, the CEO and founder of GameScience recently took to the Chinese social media app Weibo to express his views on the Steam Awards 2024, stating that he felt a little emotional after winning 3 awards. He also elaborated on the Xbox Series S optimization issues which led to Black Myth Wukong not releasing on Xbox. Fang Ji stated that the only thing missing for Black Myth Wukong in 2024 is the Xbox port. The reason for that is the 10 GB of shared memory, which is really impossible to get on the Series S without several years of optimization experience. That seems to be the reason why Black Myth Wukong was not released on the Xbox Series S and X. Obviously, Microsoft does need parity, and if it's the case of Black Myth Wukong not even being able to be ran at a suitable state, Baldur's Gate 3, the issue was the local cooperative play and the split screen that's available for Baldur's Gate 3. In the case of Black Myth Wukong, it's a totally single-player game, so if the Series S can't even get a gimped version of the game running, that is a problem. And if there's gotta be a standard, obviously, like you can't have the game running at 12 frames per second and then released on the Xbox Series S. No one was being transparent as far as why the game wasn't being released on Xbox, but this was the conclusion that most of us have already come to. And why I think this is such a relevant talking point is because this really, 2024, should have been the year where Microsoft had an opportunity to clap back a little bit at Sony, because Sony had a relatively weak output, at least from the standpoint of first party. Yes, they had some third party titles, but first party was rather weak. They did ultimately get games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Stellar Blade, even Rise of Ronin from third party that did really enhance their game output. Some of those games will be arriving on PC in the near future as well, but in terms of Microsoft, they really need to do everything that they can at this stage of the game, because Sony's first-party output is not as strong as it has been in years past. Spider-Man 2 is not dropping in 2024. You don't have God of War level games, a Horizon level game. Astrobot did come out, but Astrobot is not that well-known IP. It turned out to be fantastic, but when Black Myth Wukong was coming out, it was a little bit of a lull of a period for Sony. They weren't putting out first-party titles. They had just dropped Concord, and it was a gigantic failure. Oh, but Microsoft, because you need to have this Xbox system parity on the games that are released, here's a free console exclusive in Black Myth Wukong, which, oh, by the way, is one of the most anticipated and biggest games of the year. A gigantic blunder, and I don't even know who you want to assign the blame to once you have the standpoint of, oh, we want every game to be running on both the Series S and the Series X. It is what it is, and they did it with Baldur's Gate 3 as well in 2023. However, Baldur's Gate 3 was a little bit different because that was always going to be a game that was more so catered for the PC audience, and the PlayStation release was on a month delay anyway. With Black Myth Wukong, that is a game that absolutely a large portion of the player base is going to come from consoles. Did you guys see what happened in China with PS5 selling out? Very much Black Myth Wukong was a game that people checked out on consoles. It wasn't a PC-centric experience, although, you know, Baldur's Gate did well on PS5, but you get the idea. Black Myth Wukong was this big game coming out in 2024, and how you just outright lost it because of this, it's just mind-numbing to me. I feel like, yeah, you should have figured something out, and now we're at this point where it's been 4 months since Black Myth Wukong has come out, approaching 5 months, and if you're talking about it's going to take years of optimization experience, are we ever going to get a Black Myth Wukong port on Xbox? And at this stage of the game, does it even matter? know with a game like this, the peak of anticipation and the peak of attention around the game is gonna be on the launch date. I guess that you do have the expansion coming out, and if you did some sort of complete edition release on Xbox, yeah, it would reignite a little bit of interest, but you've missed timing on it. You've just missed timing, and you gave PlayStation a free console exclusive. PlayStation is literally paying multi-millions of dollars for console exclusives, and now they just got handed arguably the biggest game of 2024 just as a free console exclusive. Let that digest, let that marinate for a second on how wild that is. And why I get so infuriated by stuff like this is because I don't want this to happen. I don't want PlayStation to have this immense amount of power in the console landscape. Y'all see how garbage PlayStation Plus is right now? Y'all see some of the moves that Sony is making? They can make these moves because they have literally no competition in the form of Xbox anymore, and that wasn't the case in the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 era. Sony's back was very much against the wall. Even deeper into the PlayStation 4 era, the PlayStation 3 era was still fresh in everyone's mind, and we saw how cooked Sony got in that era against Xbox 360. And remember, that was at the latter stage of the PS3 era where I really felt like Sony first party got more and more established with outings like Killzone, Uncharted, Infamous, and you're like, man, it was high quality game after high quality game after high quality game, multiple games a year at that level. You just do not see that from Sony anymore, and rather they would put their resources towards live service games because that is ultimately where they view a bigger gravy train can be had. And you've got stuff like PlayStation Plus going up in price. They can do things that are drawing in more money from the consumer now, because where else are you gonna go? You're gonna go on Xbox? Is Game Pass that big of a deal for you? If you want some of the major games, they're all on PlayStation. And in the case of Black Myth Wukong, it wasn't even intended to be a console exclusive. These days, I really do feel like it's either PlayStation or PC that people are picking from, and less so Xbox these days. Xbox is still a player to an extent, and I do like what they have as far as their outline in 2025, and Indiana Jones turned out to be a great game, but man, just missing out on games at the level of Black Myth Wukong is so jarring to me, and it's a real issue. The Series S and the Series X, the necessity to have games available on both platforms, I get why it is. You don't want people to be confused and then ultimately upset that they bought a Series S because it was cheaper and then they didn't realize that games weren't going to be out on that platform. At no point has Microsoft said, hey, games are not going to be available on Series S that are available on Series X, so you kind of have to stick by that mandate. You can't do a bait and switch at this stage of the game. It's just unfortunate because this was one of the biggest games of 2024, and just giving it to Sony as a free console exclusive, that's a huge deal. I don't think it can be understated how big of a deal it is, because I look at social media, and whenever the PlayStation accounts put their collages of the best games of the year that all happen to be games that aren't on Xbox, Black Myth Wukong is just thrown in there, and that's a game that Sony just got as a free exclusive. At least in the case of Stellar Blade, FF7 Rebirth, Rise of Ronin, and a lot of these other games, they had to pay for the exclusivity. They had to publish some of those games. In the case of Black Myth Wukong, nah, you just got it for free. It's just insane to me, but that'll do it for me. At least we finally got some clarity as far as why this did happen, and, you know, PlayStation is absolutely my preferred console over Xbox, but I don't like to see Xbox being in this position where they don't have a lot of cachet, and they are the butt of a lot of gaming jokes at this stage of the game. You don't want Xbox to be in that situation. You want competition that's a healthy, competitive marketplace that you want, and that's ultimately going to be the best for the consumer. Why do you think PS Plus is trash? Why do you think Sony has $700 consoles? They just don't need to be as competitive anymore, and that sucks for the consumer. In the long run, that's absolutely going to suck for the consumer, even more than it already does now. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.